done. Here is your bell ringer for the day. So work through the bell ringers here. You got A, B, and C, and then get out your homework and make sure you have it all done. I do have some on the slides here that I'm going to go through, but please pause the video and let the students work through the bell ringer, and then they will see the work solutions when they are all done. So about 5 to 8 minutes. All right, looking back here on the bell ringer. So A and B, these two are factoring. Okay, we're going to factor those two. So A, remember, you can do this with SMILE method if you want to, because there's a number in front of the A. Or you can do it with a special pattern, because the thing that you should recognize is there's a 25 and a 4. Those are both perfect squares. So it's going to be that pattern. It's going to be that perfect square trinomial pattern. So what's the square root of 25? That's a 5. So we're going to have a 5a. And then what's the square root of 4? That's a 2. So we're going to have 5a minus 2 squared. That's one of those patterns, okay? If you did the SMILE method way, you'll get the same thing. Okay? The second one here, this is also a pattern. This is the difference of squares. Difference of squares, because it's two perfect squares being subtracted. Right? 81 is 9 squared, 36 is 6 squared, and we have a subtraction in the middle. So this one is going to be, remember, it's the same thing in two sets of parentheses, but one has a plus, one has a minus. So it's going to be 9t plus 6 and 9t minus 6. All right, and it looks like I actually needed to take out a 3 from these, or I could have divided them both by 9. So let's read. I'm going to redo it where I divide by 9 first. All right. So cancel that. Scratch that. I got to take that 9 out first. So if I take the 9 out first, I'm going to have this 9t squared minus 4. All right. This is the one we want to do over here. So I forgot to take that 9 out. All right. You should see though that I have two perfect squares still. So it's going to be 9. 3t minus 2, 3t plus 2, all right? So those of you guys that caught that the first time, good job. My mistake. All right, down here we did this stuff yesterday. To find the missing side lengths, we need to set up proportions, and you can use the fish method if you want to. I call it cross multiplication. All right, so we need to use these side lengths to set up two proportions, one to find x, one to find y. So first one I'm going to find is x. So I say x is to 18, okay, because that's the side that it matches up with. And then we're going to use the side lengths that we know. So 4 is to 12. So x over 18, 4 over 12. And then we just cross multiply. Okay, so remember cross multiply, multiply diagonally. So it's going to be 12x. And 4 times 18, that's 40, 32, so 72. And then divide by 12, and then you get x equals, that would be 6. So x equals 6. All right, then we do it the other way. So we need to find y. We got x done already, let's find y. So now we're starting with the bigger triangle first. Y is to 8. So it's y over 8. As 12 is to 4. So 12 over 4. And we can cross multiply. So, same kind of thing. 4y equals, multiply there, 96. Divide by 4, solving that equation. Y equals, all right, we're going to have 40, 80, so that gives me 24. There we got it. Y equals 24, x equals 6. Okay, so now we're done with the bell ringer, so get out your homework. I'm going to work through a few problems for you guys so you can check what you got, and then I'll give you a couple minutes after that to make sure you have everything completed before you turn it in. Okay, so get out your homework. I have the first section, I have some problems here that I'm going to go through. So this is section 07. Okay, so this is the similar shapes, and I think that I'm going to go through, I had odds, so I'm going to go through 9 and 11. Okay, so 9 is just like the one that we did. So make sure you set it up just like the one we did, except for the fact that we have a small shape inside of a large shape. So we need to do the x first. So I'm going to set it up, x is to 6, and then I use the lengths that I'm given. So that would be these two. We're going to have to use those. So I used the big triangle first, which was that x. So that means I'm going to have to use these side lengths together. So 17 is to 10, because the 10 is the length on the little triangle. All right, so then just cross multiply from there. So 10x equals 6 times 7, so that's 116. That would be 60 plus 42, so it's 102. So x must equal 10.2. Okay, and then seemed like I got a decimal there. I don't know if it's supposed to be. Let me double check my work. So x is to 6. Big triangle is to little triangle at 17. So big triangle to little triangle. 17 is to 10. So 10x equals, let me check my math, 6 times 17. 102, yep, so x equals 10.2. And then we do the y's, okay? So let me get rid of this stuff, let's do the y's. So y is that whole big part of the triangle from here to here. So y is 2, so we're going to have to use the little part of the triangle. Y is to 8, and then you do big triangle first, so we're going to have to use this side again. So equals 17 is to 10. All right, so then we cross multiply here. We get 10y equals 136. Looks like we get a decimal again, so y equals 13.6. All right, and then number 11. Okay, number 11. Decorating. Amy wants to put carpeting in part of her living room. Her living room is 12 feet wide by 18 feet long. If she wants to put the carpet in part of the living room and have the same proportions as the entire room where the carpet is 5 feet wide, find its length. So I would draw a rectangle. Says that it's 12 feet wide, 18 feet long. Okay, carpeted part of the living room to have the same proportions as the entire room, and the carpet is 5 feet wide, so we can say that that carpet is inside there, and it is 5 feet wide. So that means we're going to have that there. We don't know the length. Okay, so pretty easy here. X is to 18. So x is the smaller rectangle first. So x is to 18 is 5 is to 12. Okay, then we just cross multiply. 12x equals 90. That would be 50 plus 40, so it's 90. So then 90 divided by 12, 7.5. So we want x to be 7.5. We want it to be 7.5 feet long to keep those proportions the same. Okay, so that's 0-7. Double check these answers, they seem kind of goofy. Okay, got them right. 7.5 feet. And again, up there, there's the answers for those ones. Okay, if you guys need to deposit at any point in time while I'm working through these, just ask. Next section would be 0-8. All right, and the ones that I decided to do for 0-8 are going to be 11, because 11 is the same as 13 and 15. So if I do 11, you should be able to figure out 13 and 15, and then 17, okay, because it's a word problem again. People do not appreciate word problems very much, okay? So 11, I need to prove if this is a right triangle or not. So in order to do that, I have to use Pythagorean's theorem and see if it works out when I plug the numbers in, okay? So pretty much, you could say that this is A, that's B, because you know that your legs are going to be smaller than the hypotenuse. and that 15 is going to be c. So it'll be 9 squared plus 12 squared equals 15 squared. So you're looking to see if this actually works out when I multiply these out or square them, okay? Work down here. So I have 36 plus 144, so that equals 225 if I multiply everything out and add together. Should be able to see it right away. No, it doesn't. 36 plus 144, that is 180. And 180 does not equal 225. So this would be, no, it's not a right triangle. Okay, this is the same as 13 and 15. Okay, you have to double check to see if they work out or not. And it looks like most of these could be, if they do work out, they will be Pythagorean triples because they didn't give you any decimals in there. Okay, so those are how you do those ones. 17, got the walls of a recreation center being covered with the paneling. Doorway is 0.9 meters wide and 2.5 meters high. You want to figure out the biggest square that you can fit through that doorway. Okay, the widest rectangular panel, I guess, that you can get through that doorway. So if I drew a doorway, okay, I know my doorway is 0.9 meters wide and it is 2.5 meters high. Thinking about a doorway, what's the best way to get something through a door? That'd be to kind of put it at an angle. So you're trying to look at the distance of the diagonal there. Because that would be the most space that you would have in this doorway is that diagonal. All right, so what are you going to have to do to figure out that diagonal? Pythagorean's theorem. Okay, so 0.9 squared, that's my a squared. 2.5 squared, that's my b squared. We've got to figure out c squared. We don't know what it is. So you're going to have to use a calculator here. Because decimals, I guess you could try to do it in your head. So we got 0.81 plus 6.25 equals c squared. So add those two together and square root it. So we get 7.06 equals c squared. Square root both sides. And you get 2.6. We'll round to the, what's it tell us to round to? It doesn't say round to anything. So we'll say 2.66 meters. So that's the longest rectangle that you can fit through that doorway. And if you think about a little number sense here, that does make sense because this side is 2.5 and my diagonal would just be a little bit bigger, so 2.66. Okay, so that's your answer for that one. All right, jumping to the last section here. I'm only going to do one of these problems. You should have been able to figure out the majority of them. I just wanted to go through one of the standard deviation and variance ones for a little bit of review. Okay, so number 5 is the one that I wanted to do, and I actually have the numbers written out here. Okay, you guys should have been able to do this part of it. If you looked at your notes, you saw, all right, I made this chart, I put my numbers in the chart, and then I started calculating everything. Okay, so these right here should be x bar. My bar disappeared somehow. Okay, so remember x bar is average. So we need to calculate the average for these. Okay, so average for each set of numbers. Okay, so you're going to be using your calculator to punch all these numbers in. And I'll try to do it as quick as I can here on the video so it doesn't take forever. We have 3, 6, 9 numbers. 6, 9 numbers. Do we have 9 numbers below? 3, 6, 9 numbers there too. Okay, so it looks like we're working with 9 numbers. So I get 330 when I add them all together. I divide by 9 and I get 36.67 for my average. Okay? Then we need to take the average away from each of these numbers here. Okay, so subtract the average from each one of those. And then you square it. So 14 minus 36.67 gives you negative 22.67. And you can do these both at the same time. Do this one and this one at the same time because you're going to have this number that 26.67 stored in your calculator, so you just square that number. Okay, so square that number, and I get 513.93. Okay, then I keep going down the line there. So 22 minus 36.67 gives me negative 14.67. Square it. 215.21. We'll just go to the 100th place. And then we get, for the next one, negative 11.67. Square it. 136.19. Keep going down the line. So you have to go down all 9 numbers here. Okay, so I'll keep going here. So 27 minus. Square that. Almost there. And the last one. And I'm probably just going to do the first half of this problem, and you guys can have time later to finish this. All right, so now we have those 2 columns filled out, and remember the only one we really needed was this one right here, because now we need to calculate the average of this column. And that is the variance. Okay, so you add all those together and divide by 9, because that's how many we had. So that takes a little bit of time punching these all in. If you only rounded to the 10th place, then you will get a little bit different answer, but it's okay. The difference in the answer is in the rounding. Okay, so we'll see what I get when we add these together. So 1,936.01 divided by 369. So my variance, remember that is sigma squared, we talked about yesterday. 215.1, we'll just round to hundredths place again to keep it consistent. And then remember, how did I get from my variance to my standard deviation? That was the square root. So standard deviation is the square root of that, which is 14.67. So that's my standard deviation. And if I move my radicals out of the way, that is my variance. And I think the other thing we needed was range, maybe? Find the range. So we need the biggest minus the smallest. So my biggest one, since we listed it from least to greatest, we're going to have 61 minus 14. Range is 47. Okay, so 242 and 15.6. Looks like we're off a little bit. I must have missed something in here. But we'll go with this for our answers. Okay, it's good enough. I may have missed a number when I typed them all out in there. But you need to do the same thing for the second column here, or the second set. So you want to calculate all those numbers there, and then find your variance, okay, which is sigma squared. And then you take the square root of that to get your standard deviation. And then you need your range, which is the biggest minus the smallest, okay? Go ahead and take some time to do that if you have not done that yet, okay? So you guys I'll have another 5 minutes of the sub-composite and give you guys another 5 minutes or so to look through homework. turn in the homework before you leave, because you guys will have some time at the end of the lesson or end of the after you're done with the quiz to work on your homework and a worksheet that is assigned. But the sub can pause it now for 5 to 8 minutes, and you guys can work to finish that homework assignment. And once they start the video back up, we will do some quick review, and you'll start the quiz. We're going to take about 10 minutes to go through some problems. I think I'm going to skip the standard deviation one since I took some time to do that problem from the homework. Beginning here. So these are the first two problems. So please pause the video, have students work through these, give about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes per problem. All right, multiply these binomials. This is just FOIL method, okay? First outer, inner, last. Remember when we went through these in class? We did first outer, so b squared plus 6b inner, so plus 3b, and last, so 6 times 3 is 18. And we weren't done there because we needed to simplify. So b squared plus 9b plus 18. Okay, and then the next one is the same thing. So first outer, so 4p squared minus 8p inner last, so plus 3p minus 6. Then just simplify. So 4p squared minus 5p minus 6. That's your answer there. Okay? Next 4 problems are all factoring. So I'm going to show you all of them at once. We're actually only going to do 3 of them, not 4 of them. Okay? So don't do this one. All right, please pause the video and let kids work through these. So about 2 or 3 minutes, about a minute a problem, see if we can get through them. All right, so these problems are all factoring. I got one of each of the patterns that we've done here. I don't have the special patterns on here because remember we can get them by reverse FOIL or with the SMILE method. So F, we look at the number in the back. And if you want to show work, you can list factors of the number in the back. So it's 5 and 6, 15 and 2, 10 and 3. And then you look at which ones of those factors add to get you the middle number. Okay, so which ones are going to add to get us 11? It's pretty obvious here. You got 5 and 6. So it'll be x plus 5, x plus 6. So that is your reverse FOIL to get that factor, or to get those to factor. All right, so over here, letter G. This is the difference of squares. So you can recognize that, remember, by looking to see if you have perfect squares for both of those. 36 is a perfect square, 25 is a perfect square. There's only 2 terms that are being subtracted, so it's difference of squares. So then we just pretty much take the square root of the numbers that we have and write them out. So we know that the square root of 36 is going to be a 6, and we need the b. Square root of 25 will be a 5. All right, and we know that we have the same thing in each set of parentheses, but one has a minus and one has a plus. That's just the pattern, that's the difference of squares. Remember I said that that's one of the most common patterns that we use in Algebra 2, and that you'll probably use from here on forth. Okay, H. It is a SMILE method, and the way we recognize it's a SMILE method is because the number out front. We have a 4 out front. So that means you have to try factors of the number in front and factors of the number in back, which thankfully we only have one number or one set of factors in the back to try. Okay, so I would try the smaller factors first. Now, not always does that work that way, but that's what we want to do here. So we have 2x, 2x, and then 7 and 1. We don't really have many different ways that we could place those in the parentheses. So try them, guess and check. And we check our SMILE methods. So we get 14x there and 2x there. Does that add to get us the 16 in the middle that we want? Yes, it does. Sure does if we put both positives in there. Okay, that is factoring. Next slide. So we will do Pythagorean's theorem and similar figures. This one should be pretty quick, okay? So pause the video, give a few minutes to work through these, and then play and go through the solution. All right, looking at I, we need to figure out the value of x and y. So remember, just like I did on the problems from before, I started with the x, so the x is there. So we're going to say x is to 120. Okay? And we would have 120 up here also. Let's see, what am I missing here? Did I miss drawing something on here? X is to 120, and then we have to use the 80 is to y, but we cannot figure that one out. I think I am missing a piece here. Well, I think I'm missing a piece on this one, so I'm going to change the numbers a little bit. That's unfortunate. 2 and 8 and 4. So let's change the numbers, or I can see if I can add a number. So let's say that this little guy right here, well, we don't know that one, that's x. These are similar shapes. 80 is to y. Let's skip this one. My bad. Okay, let's go to the next one here. You should be okay on similar figures. I'll give you ones on the homework or on the lesson that actually work, or the quiz that actually work. Okay, so here we got to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. My a is going to be an 8, and my b is going to be something I don't know. C is going to be 28, so that's a bigger number. So you're going to have to use a calculator here. Okay, so 8 squared, you should be able to do that one in your head. So we get 64 plus b squared equals 784. So solve for b squared here. That means we have to move the 64 over by subtraction. We get b squared equals 720. So square root of 720. And we can actually use, I'm letting you guys use decimals on the quiz. So we'd say b is going to be approximately 26 point, and I think it's the 10th place on the quiz. So that would be good enough to going with 26.8. Okay, and then the last one here, we'll do mean, median, and mode of the data set. Round to the nearest 10th if necessary. So allow 2 minutes for this one, so please pause the video. All right, so we want to find mean, median, and mode of the data set. So remember, the first thing we needed to do was list the numbers from least to greatest. So 6, 6, 7, 10, and 24, 26, 35. So mean first, or x bar if you remember that from before. Mean is we add them all up and divide by how many we have. So we have 7 numbers. So I have 16.3 because we want to round to the nearest 10th. So 16.3 is my mean. Median is the middle number. So if we count from the outsides, we have 10 as the middle number. And mode is the one that appears most often, so that would be 6. And that is all. Okay? I do have one other problem on here that we're not going to do, maybe find the range, variance, and standard deviation. I went through one of those on the homework, so you guys should be okay on these. The one on the quiz has a few more data points. I think there are 6 or 7. Okay? So make sure that you use them all. All right? So I'm going to be nice to you guys, and I'm going to let you use your notes on your quiz. So if you have been taking good notes, this could serve as your notebook check, because sometimes I let you guys use notes on quizzes. Not very often, most of the time just when I'm gone. So you can put your books away, put your iPads away, shouldn't have your phones out. You can have your notes, and it's quiz time. So you can stop the video and hand out the quizzes. So have everybody put those things away and begin the quizzes. When you are done, put your quizzes in the yellow bin up front, and there will be a worksheet up on the yellow, or up by the yellow bin for chapters 1.1. Take that and work on it after you're done with the quiz. So good luck. Have a good rest of the day.